Your Creative Push, episode 49.
I don't know, it's kind of like cracking your knuckles mentally a little bit, where it's just like, you know what? I needed to get that out. I needed to say it just that way. I really love it. I hope other people love it. But if they don't, at least I kind of made peace with that dissonant part of what I wanted to communicate.
Alright, kick back, relax, and let's hit it again. While you go tell your mother, father, cousin, and kin, and your other friends that don't even have a clue what this to-do crew is about to do. You know it ain't fool's gold, this is kryptonite. Super MCs freeze when I hit the mic, right? EFF is the AKA. I keep it popping like bubble WRAP. And if you don't know by now, then listen up, stupid. CSWS came to do it. Got more flavor than you and your crew, kids. So put your hands together if you're ready to lose it and bounce to the breakneck beat. And like junior seniors, it's to move your feet. Yo, you bring the buckets, I bring the refreshments, and stay fresh to death like I'm choking on a breath mint.
I can fly. I'm on 6, 7, 8, cloud 9, and ain't nothing gonna stop me, 'cause I'm just too mighty and high.
Can't nobody get me down. Up and away, let me get that. Touch your nose zone.
Welcome to Your Creative Push, the podcast that pushes you to pursue your creative passions. I'm your host, Youngman Brown, and you just heard the song Mighty and High by Can't Stop, Won't Stop. Since 2009, Can't Stop, Won't Stop has been cobbling together beats, rhymes, and rhythms that call back to the early days of hip-hop. Drawing on influences like the Beastie Boys, A Tribe Called Quest, and Wu-Tang Clan, and new school lyricists like Spose and Watsky, the sound is upbeat and decidedly revivalist. CSWS has been featured on the homepage of some of the most prestigious culture sites on the web. Buzzfeed, Gawker, ESPN, YouTube, Huffington Post, the New York Times, USA Today, TechCrunch, and TheChive, just to name a few. All totaled and across all platforms, their music has been listened to over 150 million plays. Despite frequent reconstruction and occasional setbacks, the music has been, and is still being, made by a core group, namely David Eff, Fresh Big Mouf, Davey Hawkins, Chuck Wild and Fade Simmons, and David Eff joins me today to talk about his and the group's creative journey. David, thanks so much for coming on the show, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. I was wondering if you could just give any additional details about you and the group that I might have missed in that intro.
No, I just at the moment, like it said kind of in the little bio that you gave on us, the group is kind of always undergoing reconstruction. And in that sense, sometimes it's more like a collective than it is an actual group. I am the mainstay of the group, and Davey and I started the group together in 2009, but he is an artist's artist, and sometimes he's pursuing sculpture and painting, and sometimes he's writing. Right now he's in a rock and roll band, so I try to not tie anybody down to anything specifically, but certainly I like working with all those guys and love what comes out the other side. So.
And what's that like? I appreciate the fact that you don't like hold him down and let him flourish like a butterfly. But what is that like to work as a collaboration, especially with like moving pieces?
It's challenging, and I think it's a lot of the reason that our band hasn't necessarily like had the same trajectory as a lot of groups that have the same amount of exposure that we've had. Actually, a more recent count on the songs is a lot closer to 300 million plays.
Damn!
Yeah, like
congratulations.
Thank you. It just kind of keeps going, and our big hustle is through YouTube and getting placements in these videos where essentially other people advertise for us in exchange for us supplying them with, the highest quality song that we possibly can get them. So we try and write really good songs that have placeability, but also that feel authentic to us. And usually those work pretty well for videos, and it ends up translating into people kind of following on, whether that be on Spotify, streaming it, or, asking us to come play shows or downloading the songs, whatever it happens to be. But it's tricky, where I think if it were just a couple of guys that said, we're going to stick to this and nothing but this for the next 5 years, we would probably crank out album after album. But instead, there's good and bad to it. And I think the good is that all the stuff that gets written comes from a place of really being inspired and having an itch that needs scratching, as opposed to just saying well, we have to have 6 songs done by this fall so that we can go on tour. So yeah, it's there's good and bad to it, certainly, but that's our specific journey. So
Well, I think you hit on the number one thing, which is coming from a place of authenticity, as opposed to, doing it like a homework assignment where, you have this kind of, this queue of things that you need to accomplish by a certain time. I think that is very telling for just the creative process in general, is just coming from the heart, as opposed to an assignment almost.
Sure. Yeah. The bands that I love, the music that I love to listen to, people in hip hop say real recognize real a lot, and I feel like I can usually tell. And I think that anybody can kind of tell on sort of a subconscious level if they're tapped into it. Whether or not what the person wrote, if it's something that they loved or not. You can hear it in the voice, you can hear it in the amount of care and detail that was paid to the production and the actual songwriting and stuff like that. And to be perfectly frank with you, there's a couple of songs in our catalog that I think are slightly more phoned in than others. And, at least for our part, the ones that are phoned in are the ones that I'm not nearly as proud of. I listen to them a lot less. I share them a lot less. And the ones that are really coming from my gut, it's yeah, I want people to know this. I'm pretty proud of what I wrote here. So
does it ever make you mad when ones, like you said, that are from your heart and that you want to be more popular than they are not? And then vice versa?
More vice versa, actually. It's always weird to me when something that I wrote that I know I was just doing it to get it done, when that lands, it's more frustrating to me. It's really? It's you don't even care.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, it's you don't even care what I write. If I write words that rhyme like cat, bat, rat, and fat, then and that's going to work for you, then why do I even bother trying to tap into stuff that's meaningful to me? But the inverse, not so much. I mean, I think I guess I probably shouldn't speak for the other guys, but I think I can on this particular point, and say that if it's coming from a place of authenticity when I write it, then I don't know, it's kind of like cracking your knuckles mentally a little bit, where it's just you know what? I needed to get that out. I needed to say it just that way. I really love it. I hope other people love it. But if they don't, at least I kind of made peace with that dissonant part of what I wanted to communicate, if that makes sense at all.
It makes the most sense that anything can ever make, because one of the things that I say all the time is I feel like a lot of the people listening to this show too are listening for the push to actually, whatever is holding them back from doing whatever it is that's on their brain, to kind of get that push to do it. Because I feel like everybody has a queue of things in their brain that they kind of have to get out there. And they have to get out there in kind of the most authentic way that they can for themselves. So you nailed it right on the head. It's kind of just, once it's out there and once you've done it, it's off of your queue and it's kind of off of your checklist, and you can kind of move on to the next thing. I think you said it perfectly.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, Jay-Z there's some quote from him, I can't remember where, if it's in a song or if it's in an interview or what, but he basically says something to the effect of, you should only be rapping if you have something to say. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, that said, am I the best rapper in the world, and do I communicate deep, meaningful messages from hardship every time I write? Certainly not. But I think a lot of people looked at Can't Stop, Won't Stop, certainly when we started out of Utah, and thought, wow, this is really gimmicky. Like this is two white guys that are both Mormon. They're rapping and they're doing it in this kind of old school way. This is a gimmick. And I never felt that way about it. And I don't think Davey did either. The way I've always kind of explained it to people is, if you're going to go play a game of basketball or something, you get into character. Like, maybe all day long you work at a tax firm or something, but at night you want to go play basketball with your friends. And so you use the vocabulary of a person that plays basketball and you dress the part and you just get into the headspace of a basketball player, and it's kind of fun. And that doesn't mean that it's inauthentic, even though you spent all day at the tax firm. So when people would look at us on stage and say, that's not Dave, like Dave doesn't do that. And it's like, well, actually it is. Like, this is a part of what I want to express. And even though you guys didn't know that I had this inside me, like, I really want to be doing this. Like, and I want to do it in the way that feels fun. So I use the vocabulary of a rapper, and I dress like a rapper, and I want to feel that experience. So it never felt inauthentic to me at all. And again, coming back to tie this whole thing full circle, not all of our songs are certainly about the keeping it real or like our deep, hard trials or whatever. But we authentically wanted to write like really fun songs that kind of call back to this music and this style that we both love. So
yeah, and I think again you nailed it, because a lot of people listening, and myself included, I have a full-time job and I feel inauthentic while I'm at my job. But when I'm doing a podcast or writing or doing anything artistic, that's when I feel like I'm at my most artistic moment. But of course, to like in the everyday, daily grind of life, then it looks like I'm kind of being a poser, like I'm not, I'm just kind of going through the grind of the job. I think a lot of people feel like they're stuck in that, and that hopefully they can find some sort of balance,
Yeah, and I think that's maybe one of the hallmarks of being a creative deeply in your soul is that impulse to push back on being pigeonholed. For like I was talking about earlier with Davey, where sometimes he needs to pursue his sculpture or his painting or write different genres of music or whatever he needs to do. Like, to me, that's really one of the hallmarks of being a true artist is like, I don't want you to tell me what the confines are around my creativity. Today I want to do this and I want to pursue it really fully until I've achieved the vision that is keeping me up at night. And maybe when I've done that, I'll want to do more of it. And maybe when I've done that, I won't want to do it anymore. Maybe I've scratched the itch completely and I want to put it somewhere else. And for me, my hand in the group, I've actually also never really felt a disconnect between kind of branding and advertising for the group that's been done, just all the marketing moves and the actual writing of stuff. Like, I get the same level of creative fulfillment from putting together a really good campaign and seeing all the metrics start bouncing. And when I see it work, it's like, man, I came up with that idea. No one else thought to do that. And I did think to do it, and I executed it exactly right. And it's resonating with people in the same way that writing a good song resonates with people. So I really don't think that it's good or healthy to relegate creativity to like these select few tasks. I think it's any way you want to take it. In fact, there's somewhere out in the ether, there's this quote from Jack Kerouac where he talks about the mad ones. And if I think that if you pursue that line of thinking, and I think it's even written in a lot of his stuff, it seems that like the thing that mattered most to Kerouac wasn't whether or not you were a writer or a painter or a tax attorney or a car mechanic or whatever you were. The thing that was interesting to him was how deeply you cared about it. And that was sort of the term that he put around that was the mad ones. In my life experience, those are the people that I'm always most fascinated by. I couldn't care less what you do for work so long as you really love it. You can always tell the ones that do. I've met dentists and car mechanics who, when they talk to you about it, you can tell this is like their favorite thing. And
you can see it in the eyes.
right? And you can feel it in the
Yeah.
tone and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I'm sorry that I kind of have gone on this long tear here, but yeah, I think that creativity can take certainly all kinds of shapes and move in whatever direction you are willing to let it.
Yeah, I agree. And, life, well, whatever. I won't get too deep, but there's life is so rare, and like our existence is like kind of so rare, and our time is so rare, that we have such value on our time in the cosmic sense of things that it's just so senseless to kind of waste it, and so you should be doing things that you care about. And I also totally agree with the idea that you said, there is an art almost to promotion, and there is an art to connecting with the people that you're hoping that are listening to it. Like, it's like kind of completing the circle, it's like completing the cycle of, you create this thing and then you get to hear what people think about it. Like the best experience I get is when people say, hey, this podcast made me create art in my life, and start that circle of their creation. It's the most fulfilling thing I think about doing any kind of art or creative pursuit.
Sure. Well, and it's and thank goodness that's the way, right? Because without that, and again, like coming back to creativity as more of an impulse rather than like a checklist of things that you can do that are creative. Without that impulse, we wouldn't have most of the cool things that we do have, like all of our best furniture, all of our best electronic devices, like the way that our homes are set up and insulated, all come from people that occasionally deeply cared about one topic and said, I bet I can do that a lot better.
Exactly.
Why doesn't that work better? Why, and they just kind of can't get it, like you said, out of their queue until they have exhausted all of their creative faculties to make it happen. So certainly the arts are an interesting avenue for creativity, and a really like obvious one, because that's the only way to access and create really good art is with that. And there are a lot of other tasks that you can go about mindlessly and people won't pay as much attention to. But it just seems to me that really anything that moves the needle or gets cared about at all comes from someone that lost a bunch of sleep over it because they were just so sure that they could do it better. And I'm really glad that that's ingrained into the human psyche, is this desire to do it better than what currently exists. It's making my life really cool.
Yeah, it makes it so much more convenient, and makes you able to do your art and have the relaxation time to not worry about going and making fire and going and killing a deer in the woods to eat for you and your friends.
Although that does sound fun.
Maybe for like a day, but
I wouldn't get to listen to podcasts as much.
Yeah, that's true. Or create music. I just wanted to ask you about kind of going along with that idea of what you do after you create the music. You guys put your music up on usemysongs.com. Can you talk a little bit about like what that is and why you do that?
I would love to. So kind of the distribution model that Can't Stop Won't Stop has used, not from the beginning, but pretty close. Sometime probably 9 months to a year into the life of the group, we kind of started hatching this idea of a different way to distribute music than other people were doing. We had a bunch of friends in bands that were going on tour and trying to, when they'd release an album, they try to get a little PR push and get onto blogs and things like that. And all of those things work. But at the time, back in 2009, 2010, YouTube was sort of emerging not as a place just for viral cat videos, but for a place where legitimate people were saying, I just graduated with a film degree, and I think I'm going to just start uploading one video a day or one video a week. And, if it gets a bunch of hits, YouTube is going to pay me so much in ad revenue. And so it was kind of the birth of that whole ecosystem where people were saying, whoa, I didn't know I could make a living uploading videos to YouTube. At the time that we started, I don't think anybody had crossed 1 million subscribers on YouTube. That because I remember going to the first VidCon, maybe Shane Dawson had done it, or Ryan Higa. There were like maybe a couple that had done it. Now there are thousands that are over 1 million. There's a lot of people that have done it. But when we started, it was just people all trying to kind of make sense of that ecosystem. And I think we sort of were fortunate to be exposed to that opportunity and to say, hey, if you're trying to make really great videos and we're trying to make really great music, theoretically, you're going to need really great music for your really great video. I've always let the filmmakers keep all the ad revenue because I frankly think it's harder work than me just emailing them the song that I've written. And that just sort of always struck me as fair. So, we started with Devin Graham. We did it a couple times back when his channel was, very, very small. And it kind of kept working. And then all of a sudden we started getting featured on these other channels. And people were emailing me and saying, can we use your stuff just the way Devin did? And my personal feeling on it was always, sure, you can use it. What I want my name to be in the video, and I want links in the description where people can legally download the song. So whether that's an iTunes link, or if I'm willing to give a song away for free, which sometimes I've done, that also counts as a legal download link, but don't upload it to Pirate Bay or whatever and then try and share out that link.
Sure.
In those cases, I've always flagged the video for removal. But that's kind of where the idea for Use My Songs came, is we'd built up this roster of YouTubers that we'd worked with and been connected to and collaborated with. And frankly, it got to the point for me where I was getting, a few dozen emails a week from kids all over the world, be it in Thailand or Norway or Oklahoma, saying, can we use your songs? And I would always have to go back and forth with them and say, yeah, you can. Here's what I need. And I'd have to explain it. And there's all these language barriers and problems like this. So I reached out to a developer friend of mine and I said, hey, can we just build me a landing page where I can host my songs? And when people want to use one for their video, they click the link. I send them a licensing agreement. We both say, yes, I agree to these terms. And then that's it. Like, I don't have to think about it after that. And he was in a band as well. And he said, we can build that for you, but can we also build one for my band? And that's sort of when the light bulb went off for me. And it was like, oh, I bet you anything that there's a lot of musicians that want to get their songs into these YouTube videos just like we did. And the space is so broad now. I mean, Can't Stop, Won't Stop. Our music works really well for extreme sports videos or gaming videos or things like that. But there's this whole world of do-it-yourself videos and baking videos and hair tutorials and vloggers and all this stuff that Can't Stop, Won't Stop's not always a really good fit there. And and there's other bands that could take over that space and be able to boast the same reputation as us. So we started building the platform slowly because I wanted to test out with a lot of YouTubers and a lot of musicians, like, A, is this something that already exists and I just haven't heard of it? B, is this legal, what I'm talking about doing? And C, is this something that everyone's interested in? So we threw up a couple landing pages, and I had a bunch of developers jump in and jump out, and it's taken a long time to get commitments from people to really work on it and really push it. But it's at the point now where I feel like the site is actually in it's in a solid alpha state, and it's a little bit nascent, and it's still got its sea legs, but it's poised to get going, and it's supposed to end up being a marketplace, not for just YouTubers, but filmmakers of all disciplines, whether it's commercial creators or indie filmmakers or YouTubers, to be able to come find music, not that's stock music or royalty free stuff that they know they can get really cheap, but music from bands that need a leg up, need some way to get their name out there. And not every license that comes through the website is going to be free. There are times certainly where it makes more sense to say like, hey, you know what, we're not going to credit you in this video. You know, we're making a video for a nonprofit and it's going to be a commercial on TV. We're not willing to put the band's name in the video, but we do want to use your song and we're going to pay you for it. But if it's for a YouTuber who doesn't have a brand sponsor and they're just trying to make their living on ad revenue, I've never charged a licensing fee to a person like that, and so neither will the website. But I want it to be an ecosystem where really good bands are able to get what they need and to be able to have some control over where their music goes. Most licensing sites right now are just a big library of music, whether it's royalty-free stuff or bands. And filmmakers have to kind of sift through that by genre, and it's like shopping at a record store.
It's impossible.
Yeah, and for me, I always wanted the power to sift through the record store of YouTubers. I wanted just a big fat Rolodex of YouTubers where I could say like, hey, there's like, 100 million actively uploading channels on YouTube. I want to just submit my music to all these people and see if I can get in, 10,000 videos or something. Because, we're in several hundred at this point, but it's such a small fraction of what gets uploaded. There's something like 3 years of content uploaded to YouTube every single day or something insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So for me to be in a few hundred videos is needle in a haystack. It's just so small. So that's probably not the best analogy, needle in a haystack, but you get my point.
It's I love the model and I love just the mindset that you have about it because, like you said, it's also kind of cool, I'm sure, to see who resonates with your songs and what they think matches with your songs too. It's just, I don't know, it's a cool collaboration, and I love I'm just a big proponent of the idea of abundance, that, yeah, you can use my music, just, give me a shout out. I love it.
Yeah, I've always felt like, and I'm fortunate that it happened this way, but I have always felt like Devin's videos. So Devin is who we started with. And I, without any arrogance in it, I think that the song that he uses matters a lot in the ultimate view count for him. So if he wants the best result, he needs to use the best editing techniques, the best software, the best cameras, and the best music that he can find. So I always wanted to supply him with great music, and he in turn would supply me with great video content to match that. And so it really always felt truly collaborative and like we were both piggybacking off each other's hard work. Hey, if I write a great song, it's going to help you get more views, which in turn helps me get more plays and more downloads. That's just it. We both put our best work forward and let the chips fall where they may. So, there's a slight risk in it because maybe I don't write as good a song as the video is, or maybe he doesn't shoot a video as good as the song is. But it's kind of a tent pole strategy to music distribution. You just keep throwing stuff against the wall, and every once in a while, something really, really sticks and resonates with people.
I love it.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely, man. Before we let you go, I would ask you for what we call the final push. And this is where I ask you to reach through the microphone and grab the shoulder of somebody that you've really inspired today and give them your best words of advice and push them into pursuing their creative passion.
Yeah, I'm trying to visualize the face of this doe-eyed dreamer. What I would say to a person like that is, I think the most compelling thing that you said to me today, Youngman, was you have like 80 years that you're alive, and 20 of those years aren't even really that usable. Like from the time you're 10 to the time you're like 79, you can get a lot of stuff done. And then after that, and before that, you kind of just have to enjoy what other people are going to do for you. People are going to be taking care of you to some extent, and that really is just, it's the blink of an eye. I won't say that I wake up every day and think this, but I think I check myself a lot and say, when an opportunity is presented to me, do other people have the opportunity to do this? So is it unique? And will I have the opportunity to do it again? And that is the criteria that I use for a lot of my decision making, and it certainly influenced my decision to pursue music full time. I had this weird little moment where all of a sudden I was kind of making some money doing hip hop, and my job wasn't really working out, and it was like, I think I might be able to take a stab at this. And it's hard. It's really hard to pull that trigger. I moved down from San Francisco to LA. I quit a job where I had equity in a company, and it was really looking promising. But I just thought, I'm going to turn 50 someday, and I will just have to tell the story that maybe I could have been in a hip hop group that did something someday. And instead, the story that I get to tell is that I did it. I went down to LA. I slept on the floor. I made a go of it. I tried really hard. I had some big fails and some big successes, and it's a much different story now. And if I was going to advise anybody to do anything, it would be to use those criteria. How many other people get the opportunity that you have right now? And will you ever get to do it again? If it fits through that filter, take it, even if it's really hard and you're dead wrong. And you will be. A lot of people try at stuff that isn't a good fit. But if you have the chance to do something unique while you're alive, I think you're going to turn 50, 60, 70, 80 and be ultimately really glad that you took a swing at everything interesting that came across your path, instead of just saying like, yeah, I played it pretty safe. Nothing too bad happened. Like, who cares? I would rather have some really bad things happen in exchange for some really good things than to have played it safe all the time and made sure that life was always smooth. That's too boring for me, and it should be too boring for you.
I love it. The way I see it is the same way. It's kind of like at the end of your life, you're going to have this fist that's going to punch you in the face when you're 50, and it's going to have on the knuckles just tattooed "what if," And it's just like, you want to be able to avoid that punch, I think.
Yeah, and even worse, heaven forbid, you don't even make it to 50.
True, absolutely.
I mean, you might die when you're 35.
Yeah.
All sorts of awful things happen to people that, or challenging things, whatever, you get debilitated in some way, and you lose the opportunity to be a great runner or to try bobsledding or whatever. If something weird comes across your path and you have a real chance to take a swing at it, just do that thing and find out. If you're really bad at it, that's okay, because you still took a swing at it and now you know. And for me, it's always been better to know than to not know, even if it means I get hurt and even if it means I'm wrong. So that would be my advice. Don't take the hards too hard. They are cool experiences, and pain, even emotional pain and setback and stuff, is temporary, and you will grow from it.
I love it. Thank you, man.
You got me really wanting to grab someone by the shoulders now. I've visualized this person, and I want them to quit their job and pursue bobsledding
or running.
Cool runnings. Peace be the journey.
Is that what you were thinking? I was wondering what reference you were thinking of.
You know what?
You're like...
that actually comes from a real thing. I know a girl who she did the luge in the Olympics, and that's the weirdest thing ever, right? How do you even get into that? But you get into that by someone approached her one day and was like, "Hey, we're going to this luge test track. Do you want to come?" And she just had the guts in that moment to be like, "Sure," instead of saying, "No, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be bad at that," which is what most people will say and what most people would be right about.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, she was like, "Sure, I'll try it." And she tried it and ended up in the Olympics one day. And I think that the same applies to whatever creative discipline you choose to pursue, whether it's marketing or painting or being a car mechanic. If you have an opportunity to do something that truly interests you, go for it.
Ah, beautiful, man. Thank you so much.
It's great talking to you.
Absolutely. And you can find David and Can't Stop Won't Stop on their website, which is cswsmusic.com, and on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, basically everything, right? As CSWS Music.
That is our handle on everything. Yep.
Yeah. Anywhere else?
usemysongs.com/CSWSmusic.
Oh yeah, of course. Usemysongs.com.
Anywhere that we are at CSWS Music. Thank you for having me. Really, I appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely, man. This is a pleasure, and thank you so much for giving us that push today.
You bet.
Wow. I mean, nothing really much more needs to be said after that interview. Don't need much of a recap. I know it was a long episode anyway, but God, I just love this podcast. I love just finding just new artists, falling in love with their work, whether they're musicians, artists, photographers, writers, whoever. As creative people, we all kind of just struggle with these same problems. We need these same pushes from people sometimes. Some people don't. And I feel like David Eff he's special because he was able to find it in himself to kind of push himself to do it. But I appreciate it so much that these people are willing to come on this podcast. And the best part about it is that the conversation almost always goes in a different direction than I expect it to. Not that I'm typecasting people into, specific roles that I expect them to be a part of, but it's pretty cool that almost 50 episodes in now, and almost every single episode, I learn something new about this topic of creativity that I talk about every day, about getting through the things that are supposed to hold you back, the things that hold most people back. It's an easy thing to not do them, but it's not the right thing to not do them. And I think, if you're listening, and if you listen every day, you know that it's not the right thing to not do them, that it's your calling, you're obligated to do the thing, or else you'll regret it. And it's just so special when you're able to do it. And after you've done it, and as you're in the process of doing it, to look back and be like, okay, it's not that bad. Whatever I was thinking that was holding me back before was wrong. This is the thing I'm supposed to be doing. And it doesn't even feel like it's some monumental thing as you're doing it, which is funny. It feels like it's kind of natural, and you're just finally doing what you're supposed to be doing with your time. That's the interesting thing. When you're smack dab in the middle of it, is that it's natural, that it feels completely normal. You're not at the top of some mountain like you maybe thought that you're supposed to be because of all the shit you were laying in front of yourself, and just building up this mountain of garbage that you had to climb up in order to get to this point where you're actually in the middle of your art, where you're actually in the thick of things and doing the thing that your brain's kind of giving you inspiration to do on a daily basis. It doesn't feel like you're on the top of a mountain. It just feels like you're on the top of the road that you're supposed to be on. And once you're on it, it's just a new way to go. And you don't have to climb uphill every day. It might be an incline, but it's probably not as big of an incline as it once was. You're just making it easier for yourself once you start kind of walking down that road. So anyway, I said I wasn't going to go on a diatribe. But, honestly, I feel like I'm on the right path right now with this podcast, while still trying to maintain a full-time job and, balance the hours and still have time for my life, for my wife, for my friends, for everything else, and trying to make it work. But honestly, yeah, it really does feel like things are right where they kind of need to be and right where they need to go. And this podcast where I'm trying to inspire others is really, really inspiring me, and especially from the feedback that I'm getting from everybody, it just really, I don't know. It feels awesome. It feels like the right thing. So I'm forever grateful for this new thing that, I just dove into and decided to do. And, whether it's artistic or not, to create a podcast, I personally think it is. I feel like I'm right there with you, and I feel like we are doing this together. So, do it. Do whatever's in your mind, whatever that thing that you don't want to be 50 years old or 80 years old or 120 years old or whatever age it is that you think the end of your life will hopefully be. Whatever it is that you think that you'll regret not doing in your life, fucking do it. Just do it right now. Do it this weekend. Start. Just do it. Just do it. Please. That's all I gotta say. So I will leave you with the permission of David Eff, I'm giving you as an anthem to your weekend, Mighty and High by Can't Stop, Won't Stop. Have a great weekend. I love you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for doing your calling. And I will see you next week.
Alright, kick back, relax, and let's hit it again. While you go tell your mother, father, cousin, and kin, and your other friends that don't even have a clue what this to-do crew is about to do. You know it ain't fool's gold, this is kryptonite. Super MCs freeze when I hit the mic, right? EFF is the AKA, I keep it popping like bubble WRAP. And if you don't know by now, then listen up, stupid. CSWS came to do it. Got more flavor than you and your crew, kid. So get your hands together if you're ready to lose it, and bounce to the breakneck beat. And like junior, seniors, it's to move your feet, yo. You bring the buckets, I'll bring the refreshments, and stay fresh to death like I'm choking on a breath mint.
I can fly. I'm on 6, 7, 8 cloud 9, and ain't nothing gonna stop me, 'cause I'm just too mighty and high.
Can't nobody give it down. Up and away, let me get that. Touch a no-zone with no jet pack. I'm a bag of bones full of helium. Lead foot on the verse, equilibrium. Raps a million, no quotidian. Extraordinary, next air to the throne like a rising sun, making rising sums. Up and away with a million thumbs. So self-made, you think I was asexual. Fresh figure, let me finish my victuals. Bon appetit, yeah, time for treats. Better get it fast, boy, it melts in the heat. I'm wrecking on the mic, I'm on a mission to ruin. You wanna know how it's done to get to doing as I'm doing? I'm a Sally Fork, like a Stallion. Raps home on done, it won't run, workplace of fun.
I can fly. I'm on 6, 7, 8 cloud 9, and ain't nothing gonna stop me, 'cause I'm just too mighty and high.
Can't nobody give it. Hey naysayers, how y'all been? It's been a minute, but I'm in it to win, and I ain't finished. This is the starting gun, and I'ma run it to the front until I'm number one, son. This is a rhythmic defibrillation, innovative old school to thrill the nation. I've been patiently waiting and building steam, but I'm back with a bounce like a trampoline. Oh please, I feel it bubbling up. It's 10 times bigger, but it's never enough. You gotta get up early or you'll miss the call. So let me show all of y'all what's in my crystal ball. I sized up the prize, eyes on the opportunity. My mind on my money and my roots in the community. So get your beauty sleep, creativity coma. My future's so bright, I'm getting melanoma.
I can fly. I'm on 6, 7, 8 cloud 9, and ain't nothing gonna stop me, 'cause I'm just too mighty and high.
Fresh Big, how you feeling?
David Eff, man, I'm on top.
I can't believe they're hearing this from the rooftop of hip-hop. Fresh Biggie, how you feeling?
David Eff, man, I'm on top.
I can't believe they're feeling this from the rooftop of hip-hop.
Nobody give it down.